All right, so my first video of the 2025-2026 season was about the value of preseason basketball. I didn't speak to how the Lakers were playing in their first two preseason games. It was only about the value of preseason basketball, in that it doesn't matter to the Showtime Lakers, to the 90s Bulls, to the Tim Duncan San Antonio Spurs, to the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. It doesn't matter. But it matters to a team like the Lakers. Now I want to talk about what we actually saw, or what I actually saw. And what I want to allude to is the 90s Chicago Bulls. They three-peat, Jordan retires, right? Temporarily, and then he comes back. But in those years in which Jordan retired, does anyone remember how many fewer games those Bulls lost in the season right after the quote-unquote greatest player of all time in his prime retires? How many more games did those Jordan Bulls lose? I'm sorry, did those Chicago Bulls lose? The following year, they went from 55 wins in the championship year. Jordan retires. They have 53 wins. They go to the Eastern Conference semifinals and came damn close to beating the New York Knicks. Is that what happens when a team loses the greatest player of all time in his prime? The Lakers lost Magic Johnson, 12, 13 years after he came into the NBA in 79-80? The Lakers lost Magic Johnson in 1991. After 12 years of kicking ass and taking names. Right? And Magic wasn't athletic either. So you could argue his shelf life was a little bit lower as far as where he was at his peak, right? Yo, man, Lakers barely made the playoffs. Lakers barely made the playoffs. What did Milwaukee do after Kareem was traded to the Lakers? From the Bucks to the Lakers. What did Milwaukee do? What did Philly do when Charles Barkley was traded from Philly to Phoenix? When Jordan retired, in his prime, the arguable greatest player ever, they went from 55 to 53 wins and made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals and came damn close to beating the New York Knicks. What's that tell you? You could argue that speaks to how good Michael Jordan was. Maybe he wasn't everything that people say he was. Right? You could argue that. I'm not saying that, but you could argue that. I don't have Jordan as my number one player ever. I got him number 3. But hey, man, I'm not tripping if you think he's number 1. The whole world does. I'm not tripping about that. My argument is they had a system in place that allowed Chicago to have a higher floor than every other team in the NBA. And the same thing goes for a team like the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs put a system in place that allowed them to have a higher floor than any team in the NBA. And when I watched our first two preseason games, while many people will say, oh, it don't mean anything, LeBron didn't play, Luka didn't play, Marcus Smart didn't, they may say all this shit. Let me tell you something. I saw no semblance of a system. When Austin Reeves played in the first game, I saw him dribble around the perimeter and be the focal point of the offense. Whereas with Michael Jordan on your team, the focal point of the offense was a triangle. Phil Jackson literally went to Michael Jordan and said, hey, look, man, abide by this system and you will get as many shots as you got before, but the team will be better because everybody else will be involved. Who the fuck is Austin Reeves that he becomes a system when LeBron and Luka aren't available? I say that because when LeBron and Luka come back, the Lakers will not be as good if LeBron and Luka are the system. The system needs to feed LeBron and Luka. LeBron and Luka cannot be the system. And from what I saw, the Lakers don't have a system. In the first game, they did not utilize DeAndre Ayton. You could tell he was not a part of the offense. There is no intention. This is just in the first game. They were better the second game. But in the first game, there was no intention for him to even be involved. I don't know how you go into a preseason game or a regular season game in which you do not have LeBron or Luka playing, and he is so underutilized. In the second game, you could tell somebody said something to him. When I say someone said something to the Los Angeles Lakers and said, yo, we got to get this dude involved. This dude is not a pushover. He is not a journeyman. This is a potential 18 and 12 player. So anyway, that is what I am going to be focused on going forward in this preseason. Are the Lakers... Fuck that. I point fingers. Is JJ Redick going to institute a style, a system that is not just I go, you go, Austin Reeves, Luka ain't in the game, now you can go, and maybe everybody else gets a little bit too, if one of those guys gets double teamed? Or is he actually going to institute a system? Because when I saw the Lakers play Golden State and when they played Phoenix, they both had better systems than the Lakers. Well, if you got a better system, then you got a better coach. In many ways, right? You have a better coach. Because the NBA is too good for three guys just to get... Freaking Michael Jordan had to be a part of a system. In the 80s with the Showtime Lakers, Magic was the system, but Magic was exceptional. Magic was different, which is why I think he's the greatest player ever. Magic was just different. But, San Antonio Spurs, fantastic system team. You take Tim Duncan out, they're worse, naturally. They're supposed to be, right? But the system remains the same. The system doesn't change, right? You're running an offense. It doesn't just look like some... Yo, man, when the Lakers played Minnesota last year in the first round, that was some of the worst offense I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just from a basketball perspective, from a fan perspective, from an ex-player perspective. It was just some of the worst basketball I've ever seen in my life. I've been watching basketball since 1983 or so. Since, I was 5-6 years old. And I'd rarely seen basketball that bad from a number 3 seed. Luka back in his slow walking the ball up the court. Okay, that's 10 seconds. Right? And then just pounding the hell out of it. Sometimes walking to the corner. And letting the half-court line and the sideline be the defense. I mean, it was unbelievably bad. And going into this preseason, from what I've seen, JJ Redick hasn't stepped his game up enough. And it's going to manifest. It's going to manifest. Now, does he get that right before the regular season starts? Look, man, I kind of don't... I care. I want them to. But you've already fucked off 2 games, man. 2 preseason games in which your team had the opportunity to get better. So when these talking heads tell you that these preseason games don't matter, it's a fact that they don't matter towards your regular season record. That's a fact. Right? You do not notch a win or a loss based on what you do in preseason. That's a fact. But the preseason could help you notch wins or losses during the regular season. That's the truth. And the Lakers need to value this regular season because from what I'm seeing on the court, they're not ready. They're not ready relative to where other preseason teams are right now. And if you think that just won't translate to the regular season, you're lying to yourself. Man, there was one regular season, I know many of you remember it, where the Lakers went like 0-8 and just looked off. And then we started the season like 0-6. The shit just kept going. And at no point did you ever see that Laker team. I believe it was a Laker team with Pau Gasol, Kobe, and they thought they didn't have to play those guys. And at no point did you see the change between the preseason team and the regular season team. It was the same team. And chemistry is that important. And that was the biggest thing on the court that I noticed in these first 2 preseason games. Is that JJ Redick is not playing a system. JJ Redick still has not been able to make the guys, make the players play beneath a system. And that's what's going to get us. Because when you have strong personalities like Luka and LeBron on the court, they're already system breakers. If you have a weak system that cannot be incorporated, that's a problem. And that's the biggest thing I saw. Anyway, y'all, this is Pure Uncut Lakers. Please like and subscribe. I'm glad the regular season, the basketball season is here. And I'm going to pick up my activity. All right, y'all, be cool.